Hi, this is Kevin at the Virtual Planetarium at Raritan Valley Community College. Welcome to our weekly Star Talk. Today we're going to be talking about our moon and specifically about a total lunar eclipse that's going to be happening on May 26th. So first, let's talk about our upcoming moon phases. Our first quarter moon is going to be on May 19th, then we're going to have a full moon on May 26th, and then the last quarter moon is going to be on June 1st. Now that full moon of May 26th is when we're going to have a total lunar eclipse. Now this right here is a really cool website called timeanddate.com. I'm going to put the link for it in the description so you can check it out. This website gives you all the information you could possibly want on upcoming eclipses and even past eclipses too. So you can check that out. I'm going to put it in the description. And right here we have pulled up the eclipse of May 26th, the total lunar eclipse, also known as a blood moon eclipse. Now, the neat thing about this website is that it has a little video of what to expect for this lunar eclipse. And you can set it exactly for your location as well, so you can get all the accurate information for your location. Now, a total lunar eclipse is visible from anywhere on the Earth as long as you can see the nighttime sky, as long as you can see the moon. So here we have a map of the Earth, and we can see a bunch of different colors. This darker part right here in the center is the region that's going to be able to see the whole lunar eclipse. And they'll be able to see the whole eclipse because it's going to be nighttime in this part of the sky while the eclipse is happening. The places here on the left side of the map are going to be seeing the eclipse just as the moon starts rising. So the further away you are from this darker part here, the more of the eclipse you're going to miss. Now, conversely, parts over here on the right side are going to start seeing the eclipse as the moon starts to set. So again, the further you are from the darker part here in the center, the less you're going to be able to see of the eclipse. Unfortunately for us here in New Jersey, right here, we are very close to that edge, so we're only going to be catching the eclipse just as the moon starts setting. So even though it is a total lunar eclipse from here in New Jersey, we're only going to be able to see a partial lunar eclipse. Now, what does all this mean? What is a lunar eclipse? A lunar eclipse happens when the Earth gets directly in between the sun and the moon right here. So the Earth is casting a shadow into space because the sun is shining light directly onto it. And the Earth actually casts two shadows. Well, it casts three shadows, but we're not going to worry about that third one. The outer shadow is known as the penumbra. We have that right here. And then the inner or the darker shadow is called the umbra. A total lunar eclipse happens when the moon dips completely behind the Earth's darker shadow, so the umbra right here. When that happens, the moon actually turns a reddish color in the sky. And the reason this happens is actually really cool, because the reason this happens is the same reason that the sky is blue and the same reason that sunsets are red. Here we have a really neat picture of what it would look like if you were standing on the moon during a total lunar eclipse. So as we can see, we can't see the sun anywhere in the picture, but we do see this red glow all around the Earth. And that is because the sunlight is coming through the atmosphere on the edge of the Earth right here. So what happens when the sunlight comes through that atmosphere is that all the blue light is actually bent away, and only the red light comes on through. So this is the same reason we have red sunsets, because all that blue light, since the sun is really close to the horizon, all the blue light is like reflected away or like bent away, and then only the red light is what's able to get through. So when we see this total lunar eclipse, we see this red moon because it's the light of all the sunsets on the Earth at the same time coming through and shining on the moon, which is pretty cool. Now that's what happens with a total lunar eclipse. So that's when the moon goes behind the Earth's darker shadow. But like I said, here in New Jersey, we're not going to get a total eclipse. Unfortunately, we're only going to be able to see a partial lunar eclipse. And that's because, like I mentioned earlier, the moon is actually going to start setting before the eclipse is completed. So another neat thing about this website, timeanddate.com, is that it actually lets you see a little video of the eclipse as you'll be able to see it from your location. So I have this set up for Somerville, New Jersey, because that's close to where we are. And we can see the moon right here in the center, and then we see two lines. This one right here is the Earth's outer shadow, the penumbra, and then this one right here is the Earth's darker shadow, the umbra. Now, as the eclipse happens, the moon is going to dip behind the Earth's penumbra, and it's going to get ever so slightly darker. And that's because this shadow of the Earth isn't actually that dark, so it's not very noticeable to just our eyes. It is a change in darkness that we can measure with a telescope and with instruments, but it's not something that we can tell with just our eyes, which is why it's not really worth it to be outside at 5:30 in the morning to see a partial lunar eclipse. But then as the moon starts getting close to the Earth's umbra, it's actually going to set for us in New Jersey. So we're not going to be able to see the moon start to disappear behind the Earth's darker shadow, which is really a shame. But this is not the only lunar eclipse happening this year. Lunar eclipses happen about twice a year, and the next one is going to be on November 19th. Another neat thing about this website is that you can see all the different eclipses that are going to be happening visible in your area. And here we see that on June 10th, we're going to have a partial solar eclipse. Lunar and solar eclipses often go hand in hand. So if there is a lunar eclipse, there is usually a solar eclipse either 2 weeks before it or 2 weeks after. In this case, it's going to be about 2 weeks after. But this is an eclipse we're going to visit in a later video, so do come back to our channel and watch that video on the June 10th partial solar eclipse that we're going to be able to see here in New Jersey. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope you learned a little something about lunar eclipses. Again, unfortunately, it's not going to be very visible for us here in New Jersey. If you're on the western part of the United States, you should be able to see a little better. But definitely keep an eye out for the November lunar eclipse. That one we're going to be able to see from here. And then keep an eye out for the video talking about the June 10th partial solar eclipse, because that one we're going to be able to see from here as well. Thank you and have a great week.